So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
A political firestorm is erupting in one of the Democrats' most critical Senate races. New allegations against Democratic candidate Graham Platner have thrown the campaign into chaos, with growing pressure from within his own party over whether he should step aside. While Platner denies the accusations, the controversy is already raising fresh questions about Democratic leadership, candidate vetting, and accountability. Here's what unfolded in this breaking report.
Win Senate seat for Democrats this year, one of the most important races in the country come November. And now in Maine, the Democratic candidate there is denying new allegations by a woman who's accusing him of sexual assault. We're talking about Graham Platner. And the allegations come from a 41-year-old woman who now says on the record she dated Platner 5 years ago, telling Politico that Platner forced her to have sex with him despite repeated objections. She adds she did not come forward sooner, in part because she agrees with Platner politically. She told the outlet, "I just want the truth out there." This is her quote. She says, "I just want people to have a whole scope of who he is as a person." In a statement, the Platner campaign tells NBC News the allegations are troubling, serious, and false, adding that any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. Platner's also out with a video statement not too long ago. Let me play a bit of it.
So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
NBC News has reached out to a representative of the accuser for comment. We have not yet heard back. Let me bring in Sahil Kapoor, who's joining us now on this breaking news. Let me take this in a couple of different buckets, as we say, Sahil. And the first one, the new reporting, the accusations themselves, and who this woman is.
Yeah, so Platner's faced a series of controversies so far. This one is different for a number of reasons. This is an on-the-record claim from a 41-year-old woman, Jenny Rassicott, who alleges a sexual encounter in 2021 that was not consensual. She says he came to her place uninvited, forced himself on her. Politico, which first reported this story, says their corroboration is emails to her therapist and messages to an acquaintance warning about Platner. She previously did speak to the New York Times about Platner and their dating history. She says he exhibited reckless and unsettling behavior. Didn't say anything about this, but she says she's now coming forward because A, she didn't want to be known at the time as a rape victim, and second, that the Times story focused primarily on separate accusations that were being challenged because they came from a woman who was a Republican operative. There's also a statement from a progressive influencer, Cheyenne Hunt, to our colleague Natasha Korecki, saying, quote, "With the new allegations of rape and sexual violence that were brought to light, it's absolutely unquestionable Graham Platner is not fit to hold a United States Senate seat or any elected office for that matter." End quote. Platner denies these allegations, but that statement gives you a sense of the pushback and the pressure he's going to be facing to drop out.
A couple more questions for you here, and let me ask you about Platner himself, because we played a little bit of that video statement that has just come out. And again, I realize this is all unfolding just the last little bit here. Obviously, he's maintaining his denials. He also seems to not be ruling out the possibility that he could drop out.
Yes, that's the key part of his statement that stuck out to me. He had a line saying that regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict. I'm quoting here, "We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement that I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins." End quote. That's Graham Platner for the first time giving an indication that he's considering whether to continue his candidacy, something he has steadfastly done every step of the way in light of all of the previous controversies that have come out. And this is also a big question for his allies and his endorsers, including folks like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Ro Khanna, who have reached out to all of their offices. None of them have commented so far. And he's going to be facing pressure, or rather, they're going to be facing pressure in terms of whether to continue supporting him or pull their endorsements.
Let me pull on that thread, because now, to the degree that the Platner campaign, that Platner himself is considering perhaps, and we don't know, but as they say, looking at the path forward, perhaps stepping away from this race, obviously what they hear from allies in the Democratic Party could be a factor there. Can you even, do we have any clues yet? Can we read any tea leaves based on some reporting, even behind the scenes, on the sort of explosive allegation that has just come out in the last 90 minutes?
Well, the key date, I think, to circle on the calendar is July 13th, 1 week from today. That's the reason for that is Maine state law says Platner can still drop out by that date.
By July 13th.
By
next
July
week.
13th. If he does, then the Maine state party can replace him on the ballot. Now, my phone has been blowing up with Platner's critics all along who are in I told you so mode. They thought he had bad character. They thought he was the wrong candidate, whatever his politics were. Many of them disagree with his politics, but that's another story. So what they want him to do is to drop out by July 13th, in which case the state party can pick another candidate by July 27th. Now, this is fraught with all sorts of issues. It would be someone who did not win primary votes. It would be someone who the voters didn't choose, didn't campaign, and it would be kind of a backroom deal situation.
Unless, of course, it's Jenna Mills, but she's, right? Like,
there's no indication that she wants it. She dropped out. And this is where, you know, it's a failure of the progressive wing of the party to fail to pick a candidate without his kind of baggage. It's also a failure of the establishment wing of the Democratic Party to fail to pick a candidate more effective than 78-year-old Janet Mills, who didn't seem to be up for this.
Platner again denying this this most recent allegation. We're going to be watching for more updates on this, so come back.
What makes this story so politically significant isn't just the allegation itself, it's the reaction that followed. The accusation has placed Democrats in one of the most uncomfortable positions imaginable, because this isn't happening in a safe district or a low-profile race. This is one of the Senate contests they view as essential to their hopes of expanding influence in Washington. Graham Platner has denied the allegation and called it false, and it's important to remember that the allegation has not been proven in court. But politically, the damage is already unfolding. His own public statement, saying he's reflecting on the best path forward, immediately sparked questions about whether he may leave the race altogether. That's a remarkable shift for a candidate who had previously remained committed to staying in the contest. The pressure isn't only on Platner, it's now squarely on Democratic leaders and prominent endorsers who backed his campaign. Voters will be watching closely to see whether those endorsements remain in place or whether party leaders decide that replacing him before Maine's July 13th deadline is the only viable option. Republicans are likely to argue that this controversy highlights a broader issue of candidate vetting and accountability. They can point to the uncertainty surrounding the Democratic campaign and say that voters deserve candidates who can keep the focus on policy instead of personal controversies. With the replacement deadline approaching quickly, every decision over the next several days could reshape one of the most closely watched Senate races in America. Whether Platner remains the nominee or Democrats choose another candidate, this story is far from over, and the political consequences could extend well beyond Maine. We'll continue following every major development and bring you the facts as they emerge. If you enjoy in-depth coverage of U.S. politics from a perspective that closely follows Republican leaders and the biggest battles in Washington, be sure to subscribe to America Brief, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.